What I have on this trip is a Maverick Sport XRC, and this is a 2020 model. This is the orange and like grayish black looking model. The last year, the 2019 model was blue, so that's the difference between the two. If you see them out on the trail, you'll know exactly what year is what year. I personally really like the orange. It stands out. I think it's cool. One of the reasons why I got this machine was because of the way it looked, and another one was because it fits our style of riding. I looked at the XMR, but I just didn't quite need the XMR. But I'll tell you what, I took the RC and I put some Mudda-In-Law tires on it and turned it into an XMR. Even though it's not snorkeled, I'll tell you, this thing went through some crazy mud holes the last few trips. And one thing you want to do whenever you're out four-wheeling and you get into a mud hole, what I did was I'll just go four low and I'll just try and, you know, creepy crawl through the mud hole. Now, what that does is that kind of gives you a feel for how the mud hole is, and you can start to feel if you're sinking. So if you know if you have to give it more gas, less gas, and then also it keeps you from getting high centered as easy. You'll notice in the mud hole I was in here at Muddy Bottoms, the first time I went into it, I just drove into it nice and easy, worked my way inching, and I could feel I was hitting a dead end. So what I did was I actually, after I worked it for a little bit, I backed it out. Now I know that's a little bit unheard of because a lot of times when you get in a mud hole, you're stuck, especially in a side-by-side. But it's on how you work the tires and also the machine you have. I don't know what it is about this Maverick Sport, this XRC, but this thing has backed out of more mud holes than any other machine I've ever had. Now this has the diff lock, and when I put it in diff lock and I turn the wheel and I get the tires to bite, it comes back out. Now having the arched A-arms and the ground clearance really helps out, but this thing is amazing. And what you'll notice here with this tire, this is the Sedona Mudda-In-Law, and this is a pure mud tire. This is not a just trail riding tire that you're just going to get it and ride hard pack all the time. This tire here, you got to get it up to, you know, in a side-by-side, something like this, you got to get up above 10-12 miles an hour for it to ride smooth. Below that, you're going to get a bump. But this tire here, you've got 2-inch treads in the center and 2 1/4 inch on the sides, and then you also have side lugs on the side of the tire that help to dig. And you'll see, and when I was stuck in the hole yesterday, as I started working the wheel back and forth, the machine started to hook up and it started to back up, so I backed out with no problem.
He's always freaking showing off, man. Tell you what, I've seen him getting some gnarly stuff, and I've seen him back right out of stuff with this XRC. It's freaking incredible, man. It's amazing.
Muddy Bottoms is not a lie.
Muddy Bottoms is not a lie.
They were telling the truth. Doesn't get much muddier than this.
Tell you where I messed up.
Where?
When I came in the second time, I came in so hard that I rode right up on and high centered, If you'll notice, the first time when I pulled in, I did pretty good, getting traction, kind of inching, and then I stopped and I put it in reverse and I backed out. Well, I still had clearance and my tires were still touching, and I still had enough to get myself out, which I'm really impressed with this RC. You would think that this is an XMR, because this thing is one serious mud machine, but I backed right out of it, no problems. And then when I hit it so hard on the second one, I actually brought myself up in the air and basically just beached myself. So that's what happened. But I'm telling you what, man, this Maverick XRC is pretty freaking impressive. For an RC, which is supposed to be a rock crawling machine, I tell you what, I would love to try the XMR. I've not tried the XMR yet, but this thing does good. I can't imagine how good the XMR is. I left off a couple times because it was just a wall of water coming in here, and I left off because I'm running 32-inch Sedona Mudda-In-Laws, and I'm running a Storm beadlock wheel. The Storm beadlock has a little bit of an offset, so the tires are going to sit out further. So when you're mud riding, you really want some good fender flares, and these kind of sit out further than the fender flares. So when I turn my wheels, and it just starts roostering all up in me and just covers me. So, you know, my tires are offset a little bit too far. I mean, the Mudda-In-Laws, I mean, you're talking 2-inch lugs, 2 1/4 on the outside. These babies turn and burn and churn some mud and water. So when you put that thing in there and you just let it eat, man, you're gonna have mud and water flying everywhere. But it's all good, man. It was a blast. I had a good time. The sun is setting. I'll tell you, Muddy Bottoms, they didn't get that name just mysteriously, because it's definitely muddy bottoms, and they ain't hard muddy bottoms, they're soft muddy bottoms. If you're looking for a good place to come and do some mudding, they only do like 6 events a year, so you got to hit it right. But man, you come on out here and you have a good time.